Welcome back, my minions. In this section we're going to be talking about writing the equation for perpendicular and parallel lines. Well, before we do that though, let's go ahead and get some definitions out of the way. So first of all, parallel lines. Parallel lines, these are lines which can be represented on a single plane that never intersect and are everywhere equidistant, meaning that they're like railroad tracks, like you learned in elementary. They never touch. And the important thing for us when we look at these is that they have equivalent slopes. Okay? So, for example, y equals 2x plus 4 and y equals 2x minus 3. These two equations of these lines are parallel because they both have slopes of 2. They have different y-intercepts, which means they're not the same line, but these two lines are going to be parallel. So the next thing then is perpendicular. Well, perpendicular lines are those lines which can be represented on a single plane, just like parallel, but these lines intersect and they form right angles. So what does that translate to us? That means that they have negative reciprocal slopes. So here again, when you look at the slopes of these lines, their slopes are going to be negative reciprocals. So let's look at these two. Y equals 2x plus 4 and y equals negative 1 half x plus 1. Look at the slopes. 2, negative 1 half. These two lines are going to be perpendicular because their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. 2 and negative 1 half are negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, so now that we've got the definitions out of the way, let's look at a specific example. So given y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4, what would be the equation of a line that's parallel and passes through the point 3, 4? So first of all, let's look up here and we see that our slope is negative 2/3. So because we want a line that's parallel, we know it's going to have the same slope. So we know we're going to have the same slope, the same m, since m is our symbol for slope. So all we really need to do is find our y-intercept. So we're going to use y equals mx plus b to find this. So y, we need a y-coordinate. We've got a 4 because we know that's the point. Our m, it's our slope. Well, it's going to be negative 2/3 times x. Well, our x-coordinate that we know of is the point 3, and we're trying to find the b. Well, now it's just a matter of simplifying, combining like terms. So negative 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 3, or sorry, negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. So we now know that 4 equals negative 2 plus b. We're trying to isolate the variable p, solve p, so we're going to add 2 to both sides. We find that our b now equals 6. So since we have our b, we have our slope, we can plug in the equation. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 6. There's our equation. Well, but you know, there's also a formula. We can use this formula. It's called point slope formula. And it says y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1, where this x1 and this y1 is a point that we're passing through. So let's go ahead and let's plug this in. So y, well, y is our variable. It says y minus y1, that's our y value, which is 4 from our point up there, is equal to m, because it's parallel, same slope, negative 2/3 times x is simply our variable for our equation, minus the x of our point, which is 3. Well, now we're just, here again, like on the other side, combining like terms. So y minus 4, then we can do there. Distributive property now. So we've got negative 2/3 x. Negative 2/3 times negative 3. Well, negative and a negative give us a positive. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now, one step away, we need to get rid of this minus 4 over here, so we add 4, and we get y equals negative 2/3 x plus 6. So, notice we have the exact same equation on both sides, depending on how you want to solve it. Okay, so we looked at finding the equation of a line parallel, so let's look at perpendicular. So given that y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4, the same equation we did before, what would be the equation of a line perpendicular that passes through 3, 4. So passing through the same point, we're just looking for perpendicular. So first, let's look at our slope. Well, our slope is negative 2/3, which means perpendicular slope. Our perpendicular line, the slope is a negative reciprocal. So that means change the sign. It was negative, so now it would be positive. Reciprocal means flip the fraction. So our new line is going to have a slope of 3/2. So just like before, let's go ahead and let's take y equals mx plus b, and let's plug in our points. We need our y coordinate. Well, it's still 4. So we have 4 equals our slope, our perpendicular slope, which is 3/2, times our x value from our point, which is 3, plus b. So now let's multiply. 4 equals 3 times 3 is 9. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, or 4.5. Okay, so we're going to go 4.5 plus b. We need to find b by itself, so we're going to subtract 4.5. Subtract 4.5 from both sides, and we get negative 1/2, or negative 0.5 equals b. So our equation then is going to be y equals, our slope is 3/2 x minus 1/2. So there is the equation of a line that's perpendicular. Now if we want to use point slope formula, here again, it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where y1 and x1 are simply our coordinates, our starting point. So y minus y1, which is 4, equals our slope, which we know is 3/2, perpendicular slope, times x minus 3, distributive property. So y minus 4 equals 3/2 x minus 9/2. 3 times 3 is 9, divided by 2. So now we're going to simply add 4 to both sides to isolate our variable, and we get y equals 3/2x and negative 9/2. Well, it's negative 4.5, plus 4 is negative 1/2. So here again we get the exact same equation depending on how we work on it. Okay, so now it's time for you. So given y equals 3x minus 2, what would be the equation of a line parallel and a line perpendicular that passes through the point negative 6, 6? So go ahead and hit pause now, and let's see what you can do. Okay, well, let's see how you did. So first of all, parallel. We know that our slope of our parallel line is going to be the same as this one up here, so our parallel slope is going to be 3. So if we plug into y equals mx plus b, we get 6 equals 3 times negative 6 plus b. So 6 equals negative 18 plus b. Add 18. And we see that we found that b equals 24. So our equation is y equals 3x plus 24. There's our parallel one. So our perpendicular slope, we know our slope is a negative reciprocal, so we change the sign, it becomes negative, flip our fraction, so 3/1 becomes negative 1/3. Plugging into y equals mx plus b, we get 6 equals negative 1/3 times negative 6 plus b. So now 6 equals negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 6 is 6. 6/3, or 2, plus b. So subtract 2 from both sides. We find that b equals 4. So that means our perpendicular is going to be y equals negative 1/3 x plus 4. So hopefully you did well. Hopefully this helps out. Good luck.